deserving every last drop. If she wants to survive in this social circle, she better learn to fall in line.
This season, I'm coming for everything. I want it all.
What is the truth? Okay. What is the truth? That is what we're going to be talking about in today's video as we react to the Ricky Smiley interview with Latocha'S Scott and Rocky, and then Kandi's response. Okay. So it's kind of going to be a little bit more of a freestyle Friday where I give you my thoughts based on what I just heard from both interviews. I heard the clips from Ricky Smiley's YouTube channel, and I also got a chance to listen to a longer clip that you can actually see Latocha and Rocky on Jay Lee's Corner. I will place all the videos in the description down below so that you guys can go and watch for yourselves to understand what I'm talking about. All right, and so we're titling today's little chit chat "Escaping the Truth," and it's me, Richie Skye, aka Sherlock Homeboy. Okay, Sherlock Homeboy is on the case because it just don't seem to end. How is it that Latocha has to know that Tamika has put out these receipts, but will continue to spin the block, acting like she doesn't understand where any of this sound exchange information is coming from? Lady, it's coming from the sound exchange itself. You can go into the sound exchange database and discover, if in case you haven't, okay, in case you haven't been clued in case you're saying that Miss Diane allegedly didn't tell you about this, how can you claim to not understand what's going on? Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me. So in the interview, you hear Latocha again. She spins the block. They claim, let me just say this, they claim that Rocky and Latocha did not steal nobody's money. But they also claim that they don't know where this came from, and that they feel like Tamika was doing this for the TV show because she never heard it before. But did Miss Mama hear it before? Because Miss Mama was very quick to get those cameras turned off and out the heist when Latocha brought it up. Because Latocha told us that Miss Mama was silent about it. So could it have been, if Latocha says she didn't know about it, I don't even believe, I find that hard to believe as well. I find it hard to believe. I do. I find it hard to believe that this has never, ever come up before. I find it hard to believe. Because either one of two things is true. Either Tamika discovered this information, went to Mama about it, and Mama could have potentially said, you don't know what she was going through, as Tamika did tell us in the episode. And Latocha just backed off because she was in need of a mother's love and approval. And the money just disappeared into the ether. Okay. Or it is, as Tamika has stated in her YouTube video, where we see signatures. Okay. And then during the interview, Latocha is acting as though it's weird. It's kind of like in 1 second she was trying to act like that man's name wasn't Edwin, whatever his name is, as Miss Diane has said in the video. Then she did. Then she said she didn't say that. It was very confusing to me. It was also confusing to Kandi. Okay. let me give you guys some visuals for context so you know where to find this information, know what you're looking for, okay? It was all very strange, man. It was very strange. And you know Rocky's sitting there right beside her. She can't do nothing, but she can't move by herself. It seemed like based on, I mean, I get it. You know, they're a husband and wife team, and you know, yeah. So then she gets into it with the brat. You know, because Garrett had to ask straight up, did y'all steal that girl's money? They say no. They don't know nothing about it. Actually, what Rocky is doing is Rocky said he following his mother-in-law's wishes now, and he ain't gonna say nothing to save the family, because if he says something, it's gonna open up a can of worms. You darn tootin', okay? You darn tootin'. The can of worms is already laid out on the ground for us and the government to see. Because if Tamika is to be believed, which Tamika appears credible, it sounds like a multitude of activity that is against the law. Signing somebody's checks that ain't yours, okay? Allegedly, according to Tamika, okay? Then depositing said money that ain't yours, okay, into your account, allegedly, all right? Threats via the text message of alleged blackmail, and Tamika also alleges extortion. Don't none of this sound like the makings of a good gospel album? It does sound like the makings of a good episode of Greenleaf, but not the gospel album, baby. No, this ain't of the Lord. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Not also does it seem of the Lord. Now I had to watch my good brother's video on the subject, and he reminded us that it was the same Rocky that had allegedly pulled out a piece on Nikki Gilbert's husband or somebody's husband from the R&B Divas back in the day. That's why she didn't make it too long on that show. This don't none of it. Now I understand that was years past, but don't none of this sound like it's of the Lord. I could be wrong. I'm no not his minister, but I did go to church. Now, Rocky, speaking of Rocky, while I'm on him, before I get to the brat, Rocky said he didn't know he was being recorded by Tasha K. I find that hard to believe. I find that hard to believe. I find it 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 hard to believe. Let me just say that. So the brat gets to, I'm going to say, confronting Latasha about her relationship with Kandi from back in the day, and how Kandi always appeared sad. And she even reminded Latasha of a conversation that she and Kandi had about how Latasha could not see how devastated Kandi was back in the day, when she felt like, you know, Latasha was the leader of the group. People have followed her, and she felt like she was alone in the situation. And the brat co-signed that Kandi appeared that way because they were all on tour together. So her and Latasha gets into it about, you know, what Latasha was actually like to the brat, and how the brat was scared of Tasha. And Tasha was like, oh, you know, it was all love. You know, it was all love. You know, and oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And so Kandi, when she called in today, I guess it was today, she had been listening to the show, and she was like, I don't understand how she don't remember this conversation either. She can go back and watch the first Xscape show. Okay. But we'll get to Candace's response in just a bit. I mean, that was really the big gist of it. Then you got Rocky going back and forth with the Brat. I ain't really like this part because he kind of said something like, "You know me," and it's really about tone and inflection when you got a man talking to a woman. You know, you gotta. It's really not even a conversation that I feel like. The interview sometimes I feel like this is my personal stance on it. You know, with Rocky saying that the mother-in-law has asked him not to speak on it conveniently, on anything that Tamika had put out there conveniently. It seems to me like you would want to be in the background of everything right now. If Latasha is really wanting to get out here and promote this gospel album, then as she states on in the interviews that, oh, everything is about me on the show. Okay, well then make it about the gospel album right now. You should be promoting your singles. You should be like, but it's like you're going on this tour, this defense tour, but you ain't really providing an adequate defense for anything that Tamika's putting out receipts, pieces of paper we can see on the screen. You are basically talking around these things and never giving concrete answers. Then when confronted, it really becomes about the other things. And so it never appears as though Tamika or Rocky seem very credible in their responses because they keep talking around whatever their truth is. And I just don't get it. And for Tamika to say, well, why can't Tamika call me? Call me, call me. Girl, they say they ain't even got your number. So you can't call her? You don't know where she live at? You ain't popped up by the house? I find that hard to believe. I do. I really do. And so you got Rocky going back and forth with the Brat. You know me. And she like, I don't know you like that. I know who you are. Okay. I know what your name is, just like Miss Diane know what your name is. Just like you can't explain to me why your signature or what appears to be your signature is allegedly on this documentation that you won't ever answer the question about. Okay. You say you didn't do it. You say you don't know what about this money, but can you explain to me the signatures? You're not explaining it. I need somebody to get down to the questions. Somebody get an interview. If fine, Latasha and Rocky, y'all want to keep doing these interviews, I'm gonna need, and not to say, listen, no disrespect to the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, because I felt like they was asking the questions. The Brat was on it, okay? The Brat was on it. The Brat was Nancy Drewing it up in that thing. The Nancy Drew, okay? She was trying to get the answers, and he's going back and forth with her, and then it's like, wait a minute, like what kind of you know me is we talking about? Because if you saying you know me and this and that rah kind of way, you know how, you know, Brett don't, I'm sure she not understanding how you meaning that, because it's hard to tell. Because if you watch the Jay Lee's Corner version, you will see the interview from Rocky and Latasha's perspective. You can hear a little bit of the Brat and Ricky Smiley and Gary. But if you listen to it from this perspective, you can hear it from more of, you know, the Brat and Ricky Smiley and Gary with the T's perspective, right? So that's what the version on Jay Lee's Corner looks like. Go there. Watch them both, okay? Watch them. Because Latasha get to getting at it with the Brat. I mean, it's like, you know, I feel like the Brat, to me, the Brat comes across, the Brat, Tamika, Kandi, they all come across way more credible than anything that Latasha and Rocky are saying. And Kandi talks about how, you know, this notion of when Latasha wants to do her solo thing, she get in the attitude. And that is what we're seeing on the show. Latasha got an attitude in just about every group scene she in with them. It is what it is at this point. It is what it is. So Kandi called in. She basically refused this whole fact of Latasha still talking about the, you know, she didn't know what the dress code was for the Soul Train thing. And Candy's like, well, we didn't. Okay, so if she want to go that route, then we didn't know that she was doing. She got a solo deal. Kandi says they're not going to replace her, even though there have been some. I think Shamari had actually, you know, volunteered her services, which I did think would be very interesting because Shamari can belt. But, you know, Kandi says no. Tamika can sing Latasha's parts just fine. And I felt like by the end of the episode, it did feel to me like Xscape sound to me just fine without Latasha. I tell you one thing though, Latasha, but I hope that this gospel album goes triple platinum and that she gets on some type of gospel tour, because I just don't know that the gospel coin for the gospel artists is going to be what that Xscape coin could have been. Had she played her cards right, she could have been singing them gospel songs on the Xscape tour, promoting that gospel album, getting them coins in multiple directions. But instead, this is the route she want to take, and she's still doing interviews. So that's my review, my thoughts on the situation after listening to both, you know, all the interviews. Again, Freestyle Friday, just kicking it. See what I did there? Anyway, y'all, listen, that's all I got to say. I got to go. I got some other things I got to film today. Some other projects I'm working on. I still need to study. My exam is tomorrow. Y'all pray my strength, and I will catch you all in the next video.
So, Desiree Davenport, what are you hoping to accomplish with this show?
Honestly, I've lost everything in the most horrible way possible. And listen, I want it all back. I'm willing to build it piece by piece, and I mean brick by brick.
Oh, honey, she is done. I bet you a Birkin she doesn't last all season with us. Just watch.
I'm Misha Hill, and I'd like to consider myself the matriarch of this dynamic group of ladies. I mean, someone has to keep them under control.
I'm Davita Delaney.
I mean, I think I could teach these ladies a thing or two about how to get and keep a good man.
They said she was a gold digger. She ain't do that for me.
I'm just really looking forward to being surrounded by other empowering bosses.
Yes, I know exactly what she's doing. And if she keep playing in my face, I'm gonna have to let out all her dirty little secrets just like she did to me. And I'm not playing.
Let's get this straight. If I brought you into this circle, I just as easily can take you out.
She ain't running nothing over here, okay? She needs to be worried about running that household and worried about why that husband of hers is never at home.
Oh, hell.
Ooh, child, this is about to be a mess.
Oh my God, I hate mess. What in the world did I get myself into?